So it's as detailed as you can get. Okay, services pages is good. What else?
Testimonials?
Testimonials, I love testimonials. Testimonials work because people believe them. Fools! No, they really do. It's the human aspect. And you get to say how great you are, plus a description of your products and services. Good. What else?
Case studies.
Case studies, love them too. Case studies really help with the empathy thing. If you've got a case study on your website, who said case studies? So if you've got a case study on your website about the negotiating with the banks, and I happen to be in that situation, and you've described the problem, and I've gone, oh God, yeah, that's me, and the solution, I go, oh, I'm going to speak to you. There's, you know, it's just you've just got my attention straight away. And yes, you can put that into the wording of your website, but there's something about a case study that's just got that extra bit of honesty about it. The facts, you did actually do this, and I could actually speak to that person and find out about it, rather than you just saying you can do it, you have done it. What else?
Useful links, maybe links to...
Links to other places? I don't care so much because you're helping them, so I'm wanting about help you. So if you can get links from them to you, that would be good. Now they will if you've got useful content and interesting content. So what I'm trying to do is say, oh, what else? How do you generate? What output is there for useful and interesting content? But just don't forget your news section. If you've got a news section on your website, because news is a snippet, and you might have a snippet that says, I've just written a white paper. These are great, but they take a bit of effort. So these can be shorter and sweeter, and when you produce that, you can use the news to promote it. And similarly over here. Whenever you've got something big like this, or a blog, you can then take the content of it and break it down into snippets or individual quotes or statements, say 10, and then you've got 10 social media updates to push out there over the next 6 weeks, or week, or whatever, you know. So you're reusing content as much as possible.
And what about sort of like an about us?
Yep. I'll put that around here with... Do make it personal, people like to see people wherever possible. Okay. But, there's loads of stuff I've got to do now. Sorry. So I'm going to leave you with one thing that makes this nice and easy. Two things that's going to make this nice and easy. Blimey. First off, I said about reusing content. Well, I have already written a 10-step recycling plan for you. So you don't even have to think about this. So if you'd like to take one and pass one on, just check. There you go. So when you get back to the office and you think, Kat told me to do all this stuff, here's how you're going to make it easy. One topic, turn it into something substantial, and then break it down and distribute it to all these different places, and you have effectively got a content campaign running.
Excellent.
But that's all well and good, but the next question is, what am I going to talk about? So if you take one of these and pass them on, here is the next answer. Don't say I don't ever give it. This is, no, I haven't got a picture of it. This is what we call content writing. It's an unbelievably simple idea that none of us thought about for many years. The biggest problem people have, including myself, when we come to doing all this content, is the sense of, oh, I've got to do something now, oh, my brain's gone dead, can't think of anything to talk about. I've been doing this for 10 years, you'd think I have plenty to talk about. I can talk, you've seen me talk today, this isn't difficult. But when I have to come to create something, it all goes. So if we do a little bit of planning now, in advance, you can save that writer's block from happening. And all that I ask you to do is, down the left-hand side, I've put some segments in that are the type of people you might be talking to, but you could choose your own. You might actually take your customer base and segment them up into size of businesses, types of problems that they're facing. And then look ahead over the next 6 months and think, what events are happening in that industry? So is there an exhibition coming up? Is there a show? Is there an award ceremony? Is there anything relating to that sector that you know has a time event. Or it could be fun things like Father's Day and Valentine's Day and Easter and Christmas. And put in the box what the topic could be from your knowledge that relates to that time event that will be useful and informative to your target audience. And then once you've got the sort of time specific ones in there, fill in the gaps with some random thoughts. So you need maybe half an hour, maybe an hour to sit down and think about what you already know. I would probably do a brainstorm, throw it all on a paper myself first, and then just stick it into a slot. And then you don't have to worry, because it comes to the time in the month that you've given yourself when you're going to write your content, you know what the topic is already. Those are my 2 gifts to you for today, and that was all that I had to say.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Very much.
Can you take questions?
I can take questions if there's time.
Yeah,
I'm more than happy to take questions.
Hey, 2 minutes.
I love this idea of recycling the content, and I kind of, it's one of those where I kind of know what I should be doing, but I didn't really know how to do it, so thank you for that. I've got a great mug at home that says I understand the concept of cooking and cleaning, but not how it applies to me.
I like that.
So that's brilliant, but in terms of things like writing blog articles or what have you, how often would you say you should be looking at publishing? Because you hear everything from every day to once a month, and
it depends a little bit on what you're selling. So somebody like yourself who's selling their knowledge, it may be useful to do it more often, but I would say aim for once a month. And then if you do the recycling, what you're actually doing is creating lots of activity around that one article. If all you did was write a blog and then did none of the others, then you would probably need to do 2 a month or 3 a month, because you would lose the momentum in between. But by taking the blog and then doing the posts on social media and then doing the guest blogging and things like that, you are spreading the impact. So you don't have to do as many creative pieces.
So I started writing some blogs, and that sort of triggered some interest, and I was invited to do a guest piece on a regular basis, but I found I couldn't think of something else to write again. I was trying to do it weekly, it was just too much, so it needs to be repurposed rather than started again from scratch, really.
And sometimes the muse takes you sometimes, and when it does, maybe one of the things to ensure you make the most of that is maybe you don't write the whole article, maybe you write down the bullet points that's going to be included in the article, and maybe you can do 4 or 5 of those within a short space of time. This is what we were talking about with our first steps, is actually give ourselves half an hour to just write 6 points.
In fact that's where I started. One of the things that I started was actually a series called Falsies, the biggest boobs in small business. And it started as one article, and I realised I could split it off into 6 different articles or 6 different posts by writing each one as a whole post.
That's
so again, I kind of ran out of steam partway through.
I know. Somebody who writes really well, completely not business to business, but she's done the A to Z of nutrition.
Right. So
it's quite a task, especially when you get to the sort of unusual characters like you with a Z and. Sorry. Running out of steam is quite common, but this is the idea: is if you can be always working a few months ahead, then it won't matter if you have a dry patch. But the other point you've made there, which is that your articles, your blogs do not have to be complicated. You only have to make one point, and because this is the internet, this is the 7-second attention span sort of region. You don't have to have a lot to say. So if you have a lot to say, create lots of separate entities, lots of separate articles and publish them. The other thing to bear in mind, if time really is an issue, there are people out there that would write these things for you, and I'm thinking really low cost resources. I'm not sorry if anyone does sell their marketing services, but if you've written the bullet points, somebody could shape that for you. And that could be a student, that could be an offshore resource, that could be an apprentice. You'd be surprised, and that way you get get it out there, but you don't feel like it's a big hassle for you.
Thank you, Kat.
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure.